The Houston Texans host the Cincinnati Bengals on Sunday. Houston favored by 1.5 on BETDAQ, 43.5 the total in this game. Now, what do you make of the Bengals? First 3 games of the season, they look like the best team in the AFC. Then they really disintegrated heading into last week's game in New Orleans. Cincinnati was coming off a 24-3 defeat at the hands of the Cleveland Browns, and they had lost their previous 2 road games by a combined score of 70-17. So what do? They turned around, marched right into the Superdome, handed the Saints a convincing defeat. Their defense really smothered a New Orleans offense that came into that game ranked second in the NFL in total offense, and it was a surprise because the Cincinnati defense has not been good at all this season after being close to dominant last year. Remember last season, Bengals finishing 3rd in the league in both yards allowed and points allowed. It just hasn't happened for them this season, but it did happen for them last week on the road in New Orleans against a great Saints offense. So where does that leave us this week on the road against a, let's face it, less than great Houston Texans offense? The Texans have been very one-dimensional this season. They can run the football over 140 yards per game on the ground, and they might get Arian Foster back for this game. He missed last week's game, but rookie Alfred Blue was quite capable in his absence. Blue topping 100 yards. This Texans offensive line really opening some holes for both of these guys. And Cincinnati 28th against the run. So if you're thinking about a Bengals bet here, that is your main concern, that the Houston offense is going to be able to do what they want to do in this game, and that is run the football. Now, if the Bengals are able to slow down that Texans running game, they might be onto something because this is just the second career start for Houston quarterback Ryan Mallett. Texans finally benched Ryan Fitzpatrick. He hadn't played well this year. They went with Mallett last week, and he led the team to a win. But if you saw that game, it was a win over the Cleveland Browns. They didn't ask Mallett to do a whole lot. I watched the replay of that game, and you could tell very conservative offensively, similar to what they were doing with Fitzpatrick. And so if Cincinnati can slow down that Texans running game and force Mallett to beat him with his arm, not sure he's going to be able to do so. And even though the Bengals have struggled against the run this season, they now have middle linebacker Ray Maluga back. They might be getting Vontaze Burfict back for this game. We don't know as of the time of this recording. He is listed as questionable. So the Bengals defense getting a little healthier, coming off a great performance last week against New Orleans. I think Cincinnati might be a bit too much for Houston this week. The Texans have been really bad in the secondary this season, 31st, next to last against the pass. Look, we know Andy Dalton struggles at times, but if you give him time and if you give him open receivers, he's shown that he can make it happen. Now, whether he'll have time is one question. Certainly the Texans have at their disposal J.J. Watt, the best defensive player in the NFL, and I'm sure Watt will make some plays in this game, but I'm not sure it'll be enough. I lean towards Cincinnati here, picking up a road win. I would also look at over 43.5.